Hey, welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be a response to Jonny Millenium, HappyConsoleGamer on YouTube. I'll put a link to his video below, and it is the best game for every console since the NES. I believe he did it since the NES. I'm going to anyway. I'm going to include handhelds in this as well. I basically agree with Jonny for the most part. I think his choices are really good, and it's his own opinion as well. This is my own opinion, disclaimer, you know, you can hit dislike if you want. I'm not saying they're absolutely the best, like, undoubtedly, you know, but yeah, these are my favourites. Some of them are a bit strange and probably wouldn't be on people's, you know, top lists, but yeah, I thought it was quite interesting to see the video and kind of thought, yeah, I would give my take on it too. So first up, we're at NES, and right, I've not got my copy of this here. I don't know where it is. I'm so unorganised. What I've done is, for the games I could find and had physical copies of, I've taken them out. Otherwise, I'll just say them. So first up is the NES, and the best game on the NES, in my opinion, is Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. Now, this is where everyone clicks that dislike button because it's not... well, it's not really well known for being a good Zelda game, but I actually think it's better than the first one because it's more in depth, it's got better combat, it's got a big world, quite a good kind of atmosphere about it. It has towns and people to talk to, and it seems to bring a bit more depth to it than the original game did. And also, when I got my NES, it was in 1991, I believe. Maybe 1992. I was quite late getting one. I had already played the first game so much in my friend John's house. So it was like the first game I got for the console alongside Super Mario Brothers. So that nostalgia factor there kind of adds into it. And I think the game deserves a lot more praise than it actually gets because it is a really good in-depth game for the console. Now my second choice is for the Master System, and it's actually a game that Jonny mentioned, but he mentioned the PC Engine version, and it's Wonder Boy 3: The Dragon's Trap. It's basically, it's your kind of a Zelda idea, but for Sega. It's a great game, it's a great series. If you've watched Jonny's video, he's picked Dragon's Curse for the PC Engine, which is the same game essentially. Next up is the Sega Mega Drive or Genesis, and for this I'm going with the Wonder Boy series again to say Wonder Boy and Monster World. Now Genesis wasn't a console I owned, I was always a Nintendo kid growing up, but I played Genesis a lot at my friends' houses, and a game I really got hooked on was that one, and you know, I think it was in save files, it might have been password, but I remember keeping a save file or password just to play at this friend's house as much as I possibly could. And it was great. I played right through it and absolutely loved it. I played a lot of Genesis games since. I love the likes of Streets of Rage. I like Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and Dynamite Headdy and, you know, a lot of other games in the console, but that's definitely the standout game for me. Now the SNES, I completely agree with Jonny in this, is definitely Zelda: A Link to the Past. The problem with the SNES is because Zelda and Mario World are such a big influence and such a great audience, and the games that are effectively for everyone, they're pretty much going to be at the top of the list no matter what. So I'm going to go out on the side here and pick this, Secret of Mana 2. If you're outside of the realm of Zelda and Mario World, Secret of Mana 2, I think is probably the definitive Super Nintendo game. It's been translated because it was only released in Japan, and that's why I had this copy, which is a reproduction. Now, next is the Sega CD. Now, Jonny said Snatcher, and I've never played Snatcher, but I know it's a Hideo Kojima game, so I'll probably really enjoy it. I've not played much when it comes to Sega CD. Sonic CD is a really good game, but I would have to say for the Sega CD, I'll pick one of my childhood favourite games and say The Secret of Monkey Island. I've never played the Sega CD version, so it might be a horrible interface. You might not be able to connect to mounts, but I think you probably will be able to. So I would say, yeah, Secret of Monkey Island, go with that. It's a great point-and-click adventure, probably the best one ever made. Next up, 32X. I'm going to go with what Jonny said and say Doom. I didn't really play the 32X. I know there was like some Primal Rage and Mortal Kombat, but nothing was that much better than the Genesis. But Doom stood out as being a game that the Genesis wouldn't have been able to run very well, and I believe the 32X version is quite good. but I don't really know. Jaguar, yeah, Alien vs Predator. I know nothing of the console, so I'll go with what Jonny and the vast majority of people out there say. Next one is the CDI. Now, Jonny mentioned the Zelda games. I'm going to mention a game I played, but I played it on PC. Between my SNES and PlayStation, my family got a PC. So, PC was kind of my 3DO CDI system. I'm going to go with a game called Lost Eden. It's like an FMV strategy type game, which it's very, very repetitive. It's not really that good, but I quite enjoyed it when I was younger. I played through it in a couple of weeks, and yeah, it was quite fun. So, Lost Eden, CDI. 3DO, again, didn't own this console, but I would say what Jonny said is gotta be right. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, it's is well ahead of anything else in that system. Same with Samurai Showdown. If you want to go out to the side and think of more PC style games, well, there's Theme Park. It was a good game. Now, Neo Geo, yeah, Garou, Mark of the Wills. Can't really contest that at all. That's exactly what Jonny said, by the way. Same again, N64, what Jonny said, Ocarina of Time, and Super Mario 64. Ocarina of Time is probably the most influential game Nintendo have ever had. It was the best-selling game of all time. It's still known as one of the best games of all time. You know, you can't really pick anything else. But a lot of people might say Majora's Mask, another one at the top. Sega Saturn. I've not really played much of the Saturn, but I'm going to go with a game I have completed, which is Panzer Dragoon Saga. That was the kind of Final Fantasy VII of the Saturn. Very rare game, very difficult to find. Yeah, I will say Panzer Dragoon Saga for that. Now, PlayStation. This is the game I've got a copy of here. Now, Jonny said Final Fantasy VII. I would probably agree with that as far as the kind of range of audience it gets, the depth of it, how it was game changing for, you know, RPGs. It was the first Final Fantasy to be released in Europe. It's probably the best in the series. A lot of people have different opinions, but but for PlayStation, I'm going to go with this. A game called Xenogears. This is actually my favourite game of all time. It's an RPG like Final Fantasy VII by Squaresoft. It took me about 80 hours to complete. It's a very long game. It's a beautiful game, great presentation, excellent music, great battle system, and I'd thoroughly recommend it. I don't see how you couldn't like this game if you like RPGs, but it's not for everyone. If you're not into RPGs, probably stay away from it. Maybe give it a try though, because it is really good. Dreamcast. Now, Shenmue I played a bit of, but at the time I didn't really get it, I guess. So I only played a little bit of it, and I should really go back to it. But Dreamcast, so I'm not going to agree with Jonny there, and for Dreamcast I'm going to go for Soul Calibur. Excellent fighting game by Namco. Probably only superseded by Tekken 3 at the time. But me and my friends were really into the Tekken series at the time. But Soul Calibur was fantastic. Now, PlayStation 2. This is a game that people might find strange, but it's kind of obvious in some ways because it's part of an excellent series. It's one of the best games in that series, but the PS2 has so many great games. Jonny said Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, which, you know, clearly one of the best games in the system. Metal Jesus Rock said SSX 3. But yeah, I'm going to go with Final Fantasy 12. I think this is a lot better than 10 as it's got, well, better voice acting. It's got a full open world you can go around in. It feels more epic in a lot of ways. It's got a more kind of medieval setting. It's got a great battle system influenced by Final Fantasy XI's, which I was really into at the time. So that kind of helped. And yeah, all in all, it's an excellent game that's probably been overlooked by a lot of people who play the series. But I would definitely recommend it. Final Fantasy 12. Okay, next we are GameCube. Now, Jonny said Super Mario Sunshine for this, which isn't known for being one of the best Mario games, but it's a pretty good game. I played quite a lot of it, but not all the way through. But I'm gonna have to go with a game from a series I love. This is not the GameCube version. I have the Wii version. I have the PS4 version, and it is Resident Evil 4. Excellent game. Yeah, so in my opinion, that's the best in the GameCube. Xbox, I can't remember what Johnny said, but I'm gonna go with Ninja Gaiden Black, if you prefer to say it that way. It was an excellent game, very difficult, but great fun. There wasn't really much around like it at the time, but yeah, it was one of those games at the time where I was kind of a jaded gamer and didn't really enjoy a lot of what I was playing. When I picked this up, I absolutely loved it. It was fantastic. Now, I think next would be Xbox 360, and Johnny said Skyrim for this, but I think I'm one of the two people in the world who didn't really like Skyrim very much. I gave it a chance, but I don't know. There's some of the Elder Scrolls games that just don't really grip me, so I'm gonna go with Tales of Vesperia. This was not released on any other console. In English. There's a Japanese version of it for the PS3 as well, but 360, Tales of Vesperia, excellent game. You know what, some of these games are sealed is because I'm a freak and tend to buy sealed copies of games that I really like after I've, played my unsealed copy. Next up is Nintendo Wii. Now this is another one of those Nintendo consoles where obviously the Mario games are absolutely fantastic. So Johnny picked up Mario Galaxy, which, yeah, you can't really fault that. And I would probably agree for the most part, but because I really love RPGs and I really love the PS1 game Xenogears, I'm going to have to go with Xenoblade Chronicles. Now, this is a fantastic RPG with a great battle system, far better than the sequel in the Wii U, which is Xenoblade Chronicles X. It's got great characters, it's got great music, you really get pulled in by the story of it. It's a fantastic RPG, Xenoblade Chronicles. It's also on the 3DS. Next up, we have the PS3, and I would have to agree with Johnny in this. The best game is The Last of Us, but there's also Uncharted 2, made by the same company. Very similar style of game. Yeah, Uncharted 2, if not The Last of Us. Now, I'm also going to go through some handheld consoles, probably not all of them. There's been a lot of different ones. I'm not going to talk about the Game Part 32 or the Tiger, whatever the fuck it was called. Forgot what it was called. Oh, that's going to annoy me now. Gamecom, that was it, I think, Gamecom. Okay, so first for this, I'm going to go for the Game Gear. Game Gear is Shinobi. The reason I like it is because it's like Mega Man. When you beat a boss, you get another ninja and they have different abilities. Very, very difficult game, very frustrating, but I really did love it as a kid, so yeah, Shinobi. Next up, Game Boy Zelda Link's Awakening. That can't really be contested unless you're a Pokemon fan, or, Super Mario Land 2 could possibly come close. Next up would be the Game Boy Color, Shantae. Excellent platformer. There are multiple sequels to it, even on now the PS4. Great 2D platformer. I don't have a copy of that because it's stupidly expensive. PSP is a pretty obvious one, and I've got it down here. Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. Yeah. If you've not played it, play it. It's fantastic. Now, Game Boy Advance. This was a game... Game Boy Advance came out before PSP, but I'm not really doing this in perfect order. This is a game that was in Peanut Butter Gamer's top 10 games of all time, and I was kind of intrigued because I love Final Fantasy Tactics. So I picked it up and played it for about 100 hours, and it was fantastic. And it is Tactics Ogre, Night of the Lotus. Great game. It's a tactical strategy RPG. If you like Final Fantasy Tactics, it's definitely a game worth playing. Next up is the Nintendo DS, and this is a game that's different from the rest in the series, but it's a series I love, and it's a game that I love, and it's Dragon Quest IX. It brings to it a lot of customization of like characters and equipment, and it's not got an in-depth story, but it's got a great world. It's great fun leveling up your party. It's just a fun game to play, and I really love it. Next up is the 3DS. Again, Zelda and Mario kind of usually take over Nintendo consoles, and for this I'm going to go with Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. This is a direct sequel to Zelda A Link to the Past on the Super Nintendo, and it is very, very similar and a fantastic game. PlayStation Vita. I had this game somewhere, but I don't know where it is now. Here we go. It has got to be probably my favourite PlayStation 2 game if I don't count Final Fantasy 12. And arguably this is better, but I had it on my Vita list, so I'm gonna put it there. And it's Persona 4 Golden. This is a fantastic RPG. Mostly about, you know, friendships of teenagers at school. It's kind of very anime style. It's hard to describe unless you play it. It's yeah, it's part of the Shin Megami Tensei series, part of the Persona series inside that series. And it's a great game on the PS2 and PlayStation Vita. Persona 4. There's a console actually I forgot about that I have a game for here, and it is Neo Geo Pocket Color, and the best game on it, in my opinion, is Sonic Pocket Adventure. Very similar to Sonic 2 and the Mega Drive, very polished. The console didn't have many games on it, but this really stood out. Sonic Pocket Adventure. Then if you want to talk about iOS and Android, Secret of Mana. So yeah, I think that's it. So thanks for watching. Sorry, oh god, I don't know what's wrong with me. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below if you want to talk about your favourite games, or post a response if you want to. I'm sure there's plenty to Jonny. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.